GTA Online characters are some of the most successful and lucrative business owners in all of Los Santos, owning everything from an arcade to a nuclear bunker. But building an empire like this wouldn't really be possible without a little bit of help. So today we find out just how much help we've hired throughout the years and how much these employees are actually costing us every single year. Now I want to start off by clarifying what an employee is. For the sake of this video, an employee is someone who is employed by another, usually for wages or for salary, in a position below the executive level. Which means that people like LJT, aka Lester, Ron, Franklin, Amani, Tony, Jeanette, Pavel, or even Youssef, they aren't employees. They are business partners because they work at the executive level on par or alongside us. Starting off, in order to run the agency, we can see that there's 2 assistants that are manning the entryway and reception, and approximately 6 random employees and agents just working or hanging out variously around the office. This means the agency requires approximately 8 employees. Now to figure out how much these employees are paid, because I'm not super in touch with wages in California or LA for some really weird positions like weed manufacturing, I went to ChatGPT. According to ChatGPT, the average wage for receptionists is $30 to $55 an hour, and $50 to $85 an hour for the agents, meaning that this business costs us roughly $750,000 to $1.3 million every single year. The arcade becomes a bit more challenging to draw the line between an employee and a partner because we have heist crew members. Well, the way that I've decided to differentiate between the two is that if we have the option to choose them as a heist partner, and they weren't brought in by another partner or business executive, for example, Paige would have been brought in by Lester, so we won't count her. However, the weapons expert and the mechanic or getaway driver were chosen by us, and therefore we'll consider them employees just for the sake of this video. If you don't agree, just pretend these guys aren't in the equation. Giselle's new girlfriend Wendy stands in as the bartender and the front for the arcade. When it's all said and done, the arcade, with those who are included as employees, costs us approximately $340,000 to $540,000 a year, a lot cheaper than the agency. The arena allows us to have 3 different mechanics: the arena mechanic, the weapons mechanic, and a Benny's representative. Now, some of these are repeat character models, but taking into account that we have to hire them or pay for them a second time for this new business, we're going to consider them as separate employees because that person will be making 2 separate wages for those 2 positions. So for the mechanics, we're looking at a yearly salary of around $500,000. The auto shop has more partners with the horny couple that I try and ignore whenever I get the chance, but we also have 2 delivery specialists, which are paid honestly way more than they should be, given that they're kind of shit at their jobs. The Avenger has the option for another weapons mechanic, and it's the same guy, but again, we'll just count this as a separate job title and separate wages for him. The new bail office allows us to hire 2 employees, which again, don't do much, but hey, they count as well, because we pay them wages. Moving forward into the bunker, we have a total of 12 staff members. They include another weapons mechanic, as well as 8 weapon technicians that work throughout the underground bunker. We also have 2 security guards who stand near the entrance, and considering we never get a call about bunker raids, I'd say that ChatGPT's $60 to $90 an hour feels a little bit low for these security guards. Then, though he doesn't spawn every single time, there's sometimes a gun range coordinator that spawns in our private gun range in the bunker. So with this, the bunker has 12 employees, making it our largest business thus far. As for cost, this business would cost us $2.1 to $3.2 million in wages every single year. And don't even get me started on what the property tax would be on this. Oh my god. But the property tax would be the same story for the facility. But it quickly takes the cake from the bunker, having 1 weapon mechanic, 2 assistants who are basically just there to offer you free snacks, 4 security guards that come with the security upgrades, and lastly, 17 various agents who roam the facility doing miscellaneous tasks and somehow earning up to $120 an hour, which is ridiculous. What the fuck, ChatGPT? Now these 17 employees don't always spawn, and I went in a few times and different numbers spawned, but the highest number I found was 17. So we're gonna count that for our max number. Now, having more employees than the bunker, the facility's employees' salaries are also higher, costing us around $3.3 to $5.7 million in salaries every year. That's a lot of money. Now, I want to talk about the casino penthouse. And although we might be partners of the casino, in general, the dealer, housekeeper, hairstylist, bartender, and anyone else in our penthouse are technically employees of the casino, as we don't pay them ourselves. So we're going to be ignoring all of the casino employees because that would be like going to a hotel and telling the housekeeper that they work for you as your employee, and that's just not true. Now, the most OG employee that we have in the entire game is Mr. Johnny on the Spot, our personal mechanic. And let's be honest, he's probably the most loyal employee ever, and I hope that we give him a good bonus every single year. However, according to ChatGPT, Johnny only makes about $90 an hour or $190,000 a year. The Hangar is a very large property, but it only has 3 employees. Charlie is our aircraft mechanic, which is not a cheap position to fill, while Rooster makes quite a bit less, only being a supply runner. And finally, we have an unnamed warehouse tech who just kind of wanders around taking inventory of what we have. Meaning the Hangar costs us between $390,000 and $676,000 a year. The MOC, similar to the Avenger, only has a weapons mechanic, so that's quite inexpensive. The salvage yard has 2 mechanic-like employees who work a little bit, I suppose. I'm still not sure why they'd make $55 to $90 an hour though. Our office assistant and mechanic work quite hard for us, making around $176,000 to $300,000 a year combined. But the real office-related money comes in when you look at the warehouses. In the vehicle warehouse, we get 1 mechanic that we don't see often, but they are able to help us remove trackers from stolen vehicles and make the sales, which is really helpful. Then, there's a warehouse technician inside every regular warehouse that we own, which means that there's up to 5, yet only one of them has a name, and it's Lupe. These technicians and mechanic added onto the office means that our CEO enterprise sets us back up to $1.1 million in wages every year. Now for the big ones. The Nightclub has a max of 23 employees, which feels like a lot when you hear it, but let's break it down. There's up to 7 bouncers inside and outside your nightclub to help keep patrons in check, with Marcel being the head bouncer.
Welcome back home, boss.
And working near the entrance alongside the door lady or cashier, who, like most employees, doesn't seem to do much. Then there are 4 bartenders across the 2 bars. You can also hire 2 dancers to stand on pedestals along the dance floor. And yes, I purchased these just for this video. And the same goes for the bunker gun range and the bail office employees, because I just didn't have them before. 2 out of 3 of these things are a complete waste of money. On top of all of that, we have 1 janitor who just sits in the entrance to the bathrooms. And although he's probably the most tipped employee we have in the entire game, he also has the lowest wage on this entire list, making as low as $20 an hour. Then we have the illicit side of the business, which includes 6 warehouse technicians, the 5 unnamed ones that we manage from our office computer, and Johan, our head warehouse tech, who oversees the 5 of them as a supervisor. Oh, and we can't forget the actual DJs, which make a set amount regardless, but with the tail of us, there's technically 2 employees on the contract. Now, when I asked ChatGPT how much a DJ would get paid in LA, it gave me between $500 and $1,000 an hour, which seemed ridiculous until I actually started researching it, and that's being generous. Now that does make it our highest paid position in the entire game, and after adding all of this up, the nightclub costs us roughly $11,000 a night and up to $4.8 million a year. And then, oh wait, I should probably talk about the yacht before we get to our biggest business enterprise. Well, on the yacht we have 2 employees, a bartender, and then of course, the captain. So add 2 to the counter. Now last and not least is our biker business empire, which adds up to a total of 49 staff members. The clubhouse has Cindy, the bartender, and the option for a motorcycle mechanic. Both work hard, but also have the safest jobs in this sector of our businesses. The Coke lockup has 1 security guard and 12 production specialists, and they all have flawless fashion choices. The counterfeit cash factory has another security guard and 6 money fabricators. As for the document forgery, there's yet another security guard, 7 forgers, and the lone photographer who takes the photos for the fake IDs. And that's not a bad job for $48 to $84 an hour. The weed farm has 8 production specialists, and of course, a security guard at the front door. Lastly, Walter's lab has 8 chemists and 1 more security guard, which when it's all added together costs us between $800 and $1,400 an hour just for the lab. So let's find out how much we pay everyone combined. Well, there's 143 employees, give or take some minor errors I may have made. But if we paid them all minimum wage, it would cost us over $4 million a year. But as we know, these guys aren't paid minimum wage. Instead, they're paid a collective average of $89 an hour. So, after working with ChatGPT, I found that we pay our workforce a combined minimum of $19,658,080. And on the high end, it could be as much as $33,280,000 every single year. I have to sneeze.